Hi everybody, welcome back to the EUDAIMONIA Connection podcast. I'm Joey Busuttil and welcome to series number 2. My God, we've made a series and now we're doing season 2. And in season 2, we are still going to continue to look for those inspirational people globally because I believe a book, a psychologist, a therapist, a TV show will not change you. What changes you is you. And how better to learn how to be inspired by listening to people that have been inspired. Now, on today's show, we're going to be speaking to a very, very amazing young man who went from adversity and anxiety to profound coaching and healing of others. And he's a very good friend of mine, and he's going to be talking to us about his experience with his transformation through the questions that I ask him. So I'd like to welcome to the show, JACOB Stringa. Hello, JACOB. How are you?
Hi. I'm very well. Excited to be on the show.
I'm excited to have you on the show too. It's like, you know, you now run the grounded, what's it called? The thing that you run?
Grounded space.
The grounded space. So like, you know, you've stepped into this amazing place of healing, and you know, not that I want to talk too much about you personally, about what you do, but I will post all your links below. I do want to like just utilize this as a bridge to show people that, you know, you were pretty anxious at one stage, weren't you? And from that, now you are healing people. And that didn't happen that long ago. I mean, like I met you, it wasn't that long ago. So for you, it's been a pretty quick journey. I mean, how do you find that for you? Do you find that overwhelming, or has it been all part of it?
I think it has been very fast, you know, but at the same time, when I do look back, you know, it was a bit of a process initially over the years. And, you know, it's crazy how far I've come, and just to look back, because sometimes I forget.
I know, that's why I'm here. I'm here to remind you. Do you think that there was any particular thing that helped you? Like, you know, for example, do you feel that it was a free-flowing experience, or do you think that there was a moment when you said, you know what, I need to do something different, or I need to step it up, and then that opened the door? Like how, I mean, I know it's hard to pinpoint, but what was your, I guess, catalyst to step into this big light that you're in now?
I think it was a lot of the difficult times, you know, the anxiety and, you know, the paranoia and all of those different catalysts that kind of created pressure and created like a motivation in my life. You know, I couldn't live that way anymore.
Yeah.
It got too much.
But what made you then decide to take that and then become a healer? Like, you know, again, it is a very not common thing for people that are in adversity. Like, I mean, a lot of my colleagues were, and then we use that experience to then heal others as a way of giving back, right? Like as a way of sharing that experience as a purpose. So when I first met you, I knew straight away that you were destined to do this. And that's why I'm really proud of you, because I remember when I first told you, and you just looked at me like a deer in the headlights going, what? And now you're like doing it. So it is... Again, do you now understand? Do you think that it was in your blood?
Yeah, I do. And I think a lot of those experiences, they help shape me. They help, you know, humble me and create a better understanding so that I can, you know, offer that to other people that are going through similar times. And you know, it definitely led me to where I am today. You know?
Yeah, that's good. So I always start the show with the same question. And as you may know, EUDAIMONIA stands for Fulfilment Without Obstruction, which is really about not looking outside of yourself to find fulfillment. So the first question is, how do you define fulfillment? What fulfills? How do you know that you're fulfilled?
Well, I think for me, you know, there's a lot of things we look outside of ourselves, and we get caught up in the mind and the conditioning that this will make you happy, this will fulfill you, that when I finally land this type of money or this job or this relationship. But I've realized a lot of that is just kind of temporary. It doesn't really last forever. There's not really a fulfillment to it. And for me, what really has fulfilled me is being of service and, you know, speaking my truth and living more of my truth. That has been more fulfilling.
Yeah. So is that sort of like saying, do you feel like that is sort of encompassing you just accepting yourself? Because, you know, there is a period of time when we want to, you know, we know stuff, right? But we then might feel insecure to share it with other people. versus I know who I am and I'm going to speak, and I can't control what people take from that, but I'm going to be authentic. So do you think that that's the link? It's that you're living your fulfillment through just being yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which
100%.
I think that is probably the biggest gift to have at your age, because most people don't get that until way, way older. So for you to have it at your age is going to free you up to explore the world now for all these years that you're here, compared to, say, other people from my generation who had to suffer, right? And there wasn't a platform or a path to do that. You know, there was a lot of obscurities and a lot of people trying to cut you down, like tall poppies and all that, saying, "Oh, what are you talking about?" Like, I remember when I became a therapist, I never forget going to dinner, and there was about 30 people there. It was a big dinner, and everyone thought I was crazy because I left my corporate job. And now it's like it's a totally different world. So the world changes, and you're part of that change. You know, you doing this at a young age, that means you can tap into young people.
Yeah.
Is that what you're finding?
Yeah. I'm finding, like, obviously, I'm more relatable to the younger people, and there are a lot more people that.
Yeah, I need that's why I'm wearing my groovy shirt, so I can relate to younger people.
Yeah, we relate.
All right, JACOB Stringa, let's begin. So the first question I'd like to ask you is, you know, what do you feel has been the best decision you've ever made in your life?
Wow, I think probably one of the best decisions was to leave my comfort zone in Melbourne and make a change. And first it was to step towards Bali. Then the recent big change, I would probably say, was to make the change to Sydney.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was.
Was there anything stopping you before that? Are you aware of the inner voices that may have said, "Don't go, it's scary," and then how you were able to conquer those inner voices?
Yeah, well, there's voices of the mind initially, but with a lot of the practices that I do and teach, it helps me to step out of that mind, out of that biological conditioned nature that wants to stay in habitual nature, that wants to do the same thing and stay in the familiarity. And I'm able to just not listen to that and listen to more of the truth that's within my true nature, which is saying, take the step.
Yeah.
Last safe.
Yeah. And also that you're living in the moment.
Yeah.
Because, you know, the fear that we have about going somewhere, I mean, like, I guess we also get the adversity from others saying that you're running away. And, you know, sometimes we do run away, but other times we need to leave, right? And like we were talking before we started the podcast, you know, I really think that to become a different person, you need to break, right? And it doesn't need to be dramatic, but you need to break and rebuild yourself, because what you were doing before isn't going to help you to move forward fully. You have to become new. And part of that may be moving. I mean, I know I did that as well. I mean, the move allows you to formulate the real you. And, you know, the hardest part is not listening to your voice, isn't it? And the hardest part is just saying, no, I need to do it myself.
Yeah.
So what do you feel what's your favorite story that you love repeating to people? Like, what is it that you like to, you know, you notice that you say over and over again to people that is really truthfully your favorite story about your own life?
I guess I like to repeat that, you know, there's a lot of difficult times that I had when I was younger. And
do you share those actual moments? In the story, do you tell them what the moments were?
I don't go into too much detail, you know, because it is it's quite a distant story away, but yeah, I do like to share that, you know, I kind of was that guy, and I was that very, you know, tough guy, and I was around a lot of the, you know, the gangs and things like that, and to see that I did kind of awaken and had a big shift, you know, while I was still there, and you know, there was no one else around me that was having a similar experience. So I was kind of like a needle in a haystack, and
yeah. Well, I mean, like, this is just my thought. I'm not saying you need to do this, but I personally believe that by going a little bit more forward and actually being transparent and being vulnerable and sharing some of the moments in your story, that's what really helps people to really relate, because they might hear a familiarity in what you've experienced. Like, you might say, like, when I talk about my disability, people relate to that because they compare that to their own bump in their road. And then they use the experience as a way to find vulnerability and to find resilience and to find all that. So do you feel like storytelling is becoming part of your your teaching, that you're sort of trying to tell people rather than share stories and rather than tell people? Because sometimes, we don't, these sort of healing world that we're in, the guru world, there can be some times when it comes across as someone telling you what to do rather than sharing. What do you think?
Yeah, I think there's a place for that, to be relatable, to show your vulnerability, and to not be that guy on top of the hill.
Yeah.
Obviously we're still human, we still make mistakes, and a lot of people, they might get intimidated as well if I'm sharing something with them and they think that.
Yeah, and I know you're not like that, but you know what I'm talking about. There are a lot of people at the moment, and we are in the era of the guru, and that means that some people are doing it from what you were talking about before. That's about being of service. And then a lot of people are, and there's a lot of people are doing it for the financial part of it, because we are in the era of, mental health. So those people can sometimes be aggressive. And if people don't, because a lot of the population don't know things. So if someone says something in an aggressive way, they don't know if that's meant to be appropriate or whatever. So it is important, I believe, to be always authentic, because being authentic is the only thing that separates you from the inauthentic.
Yeah.
So are you noticing those people? Are you becoming aware of a flow of people that maybe aren't as authentic?
Oh, definitely. You can get caught up in that business minded type of mindset and doing things financially, which it's
important still.
It's still important to receive. But I think the main intention is important. Why you're doing it.
Yeah.
And if your intention is for specifically just for business, just to make financial gains, then I feel like, you won't even get supported.
I think that you'll just be, let's call that a trend. You'll be a trend. The longevity of it is all about vulnerability and transparency. And what you were saying there about money, again, I believe that money just comes, abundance will flow if you are in your true purpose. So you don't have to worry about, oh my God, am I going to make money? Am I not going to make money? Because if you stand in your purpose like you are, the money part's already dealt with. That's part of that whole thing, right? That's why I think what you said is really important. If someone's only focusing on the money, then that becomes their only purpose. So that means the healing doesn't come. They're not healing people properly because they're not really invested in that. So it's probably the first time in history for me in my life that I really can see the true element of abundance and of gratitude and of manifesting that, right? Like, I never forget, if you don't mind me quickly sharing, like when I was unwell and I couldn't walk, like I couldn't walk for a whole year, right? And I don't understand how this happened, but I just always had money. Money just kept coming, and I just don't really remember sitting there going, oh my God, how am I going to pay my bills? It just came by itself because I found ways to help people without thinking. So it is powerful. And I think, at a young age, you're doing that, which is pretty amazing,
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm aware of that when I am being more of service, that I do get supported in many other ways, even if it's not financially. And the money does find its own way to come into my life.
And I guess also you can cope without it, can you? Really?
Yeah.
I think we're survivalists. If people spend a lot of money, then they're going to miss the money. But if you don't spend a lot and you're just humbled and live a very simple life, then you don't need to get caught up in that. So now, sorry, go on.
Yeah, I was just about to say I'm in a position where I'm okay with money, so it allows me to do my grounded space experience from a place of abundance, not needing the money.
Yes.
And I can do more free things, like we have a lot of free events that we run and things like that.
I love that.
Yeah, and so that we can more focus on the serving part. When we do come to a paid event, we're not like, oh, we need the money so that I can eat.
Yeah. You just do it. Yeah, you're doing it out of. I think you're doing it more because you need to put value on yourself as well. Because otherwise, then the energy is coming in where people might take advantage. You
need to value yourself, and I get caught up in that.
Because we live in a world. Like you said at the beginning, we're human. you know, maybe some people magically think that we don't have to pay bills. I don't know. You know, but we're human. So right now in this moment, 2021, September, October? Yeah. No, September. What do you feel is the thing that you're waiting for the most? What are you waiting for? There's something, if something was coming, what do you want right now? What would you like that to be?
Something was coming. Well, I know summer's coming, and
yes, but we know it's coming. So I want you to sort of share maybe something that you don't know may come. So something that you have got in your heart that you may want, and you want to share that with the audience, what that may be.
Well, I'm excited for, you know, new adventures and you know, to be able to expand what I'm doing, and I'm looking to doing like more of a program, like an 8 to 12 week program with people, like a live. Yeah. And
so what would you call that for you? I know that that's the product, but what would you call the feeling? Like what is it that you would like to feel when that happens that gives you, you know, that feeling of fulfillment?
I think I want to feel almost that drive and that purpose within that structure of having people and having individuals to work with, and knowing that I'm making a change in their life. Yeah.
Do you feel that, you know, like at this moment then, what do you feel like that is now? Like, you know, you are changing people already, but I'm sensing that I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I feel like you're saying something like, I want to get to a point where I feel comfortable 100% in the new clothes that I'm wearing. I'm sort of learning at the moment. Is that what you're saying? Like you are looking forward to the day that you can just be free of the learning or the apprenticeship sort of stage?
Yes. I guess this all comes down to just me being, you know, who I'm meant to be here.
And you are that already.
You know, and not being a certain character or wearing a certain mask around people, and to just kind of fully step up into that.
Yeah, but that's what we were saying earlier, right? If this is the only moment we have, then what you actually want is here now.
Yeah.
Because this is the only moment. Like, so when we go, that question is a trick question in a way, because we go into the future and we want all these things, but we don't realize that in this moment, we probably already have all of that. Right?
I was going to answer along the lines of something like that, but I thought I would just answer the question on a...
Sure. I mean, and look, the reason why I asked you that question is because it is a predominant feature of anxiety. So a lot of people listening that have anxiety will understand what that means, is that anxiety is a fear of the future. It's about wanting something to change in the future. But most people forget that if you just take a moment and ground yourself, you can change now. Everything that you want in the future can happen now. And that's the struggle, I think. I don't know. Do you think, this is not on the list, but I'm just going to ask you because you're young. Like, do you think that the world has really been impacted by social media to do with that process? That, you know, pre-social media, things came slower. Now, we want things now. We want things quickly. And it's like, I'm talking mega super quick. Not even like a day goes by. If I have to think about the thousands of things that we get thrown at us every day, that is so different to what it was before social media. What's your take on the changes that social media has made?
Yeah, I think social media, you know, it's a tool, and, you know, it can be dangerous. It can be used for destruction or for creation. It can be used for good and bad. And, you know, depending on the person, depending on their presence and their the way they use that tool, it's going to affect them in many different ways. So I think.
Well, I guess because you're young, I know that you are on track, but if you step out of yourself and look around you, we know that we're experiencing a major epidemic and addiction, right? They're saying that social media is 50 times stronger than cocaine and sugar addiction. So when we think about that and you see people, are you noticing that some people are really caught? You know, are you noticing more people your age group that are just glued to the phone, or that they're not able to turn off, or if they lose their phone for a half a day, they freak out?
Oh, 100%. I think, there's a huge disconnect, even though there is obviously a connection that they're developing on there. But, you know, there is a very big need to be on that and rely on that, you know, and not just put the phone away and step into, you know, reality a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it is not as real as what people think. And
I know.
It's
I mean, it's sad when people are at a live event and they're videoing it and that is their experience. So watching it back.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like at a concert, people are filming and then they'll go home and watch the concert rather than being present to the concert. So it is a lot about being mindful and being in the moment, which, you know, you're doing that. That's what, I guess that's what people like you are doing, getting people to be more connected to the moment, turning your phone off, really giving yourself permission, which is the key, isn't it? I mean, my I'm not going to say fear, but my curiosity is about what's coming next, because I know the next wave is 300 million times bigger, like what we're about to go into. So being prepared for that is really important, because, you know, virtual reality, 5G, it's going to be, everything's going to be at our fingertips. God. So it is interesting. I want you to go back to your past for a moment, just as a reflective question. Through all the twists and turns and darknesses in your life that you may have had that brought you to where you are now, what do you feel was one of your darkest moments?
I think one of probably my darkest moments was when I had a panic attack when I got off the marijuana, and then that night I was getting really depressed. I think it was like a week I was not smoking, and then I got really depressed, and then I had a puff of a joint again to see if that would help, and it didn't. I ended up having a panic attack, going to the hospital.
Wow.
And
what were you thinking or feeling when, say, from the house to the hospital and, you know, the panic attack starting? What were some of the thoughts or feelings that you were experiencing at that moment?
They were like I was having a heart attack, like I'm going to die, and something's really wrong. You know,
were you really scared? Like, was it like a moment of like real darkness where this is it?
Yeah, it was more of like I don't like what I'm feeling, and I want it to change now. And then, you know, then you hear like, you know, my mom or someone like that would say to me, you know, you're probably having a heart attack or something, this and that.
Yeah, okay.
Then let's call the ambulance, and then that makes it worse when I just probably have to just ride the wave. But it was more like after that, because my life completely changed. You know, I knew that I couldn't go back to numbing and suppressing with the drugs. I had to sit with that, and there was either a choice to take, you know, and like antidepressants or the Valiums, but I chose not to, which made my life really, really difficult for, it seemed like a lifetime, but it was quite a few months.
Yeah, that was the break, wasn't it? That's when you broke.
Of constant panic attacks, constant anxiety. I couldn't have friends over at my house. I couldn't go and see a friend. I couldn't go to work properly. I was going to quit my job. And
do you realize that those feelings now, right? Again, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but I love this concept, is that panic attack and those feelings that you had after you stopped smoking dope wasn't anxiety. It was actually your body telling you that it's excited to what's coming. And it was actually pushing you towards the change. So, because anxiety and excitement are the same emotion. Yeah, and so people get confused when they're going on to, you know, do a public talk or something. I'm anxious, but really, if they just take a moment, it's that they're excited. Because when they shift into the adrenaline part, it's just that feeling changes, but it's still the same emotion. And, you know, for you, it was just, you needed that wake-up call, because you probably wouldn't have done the changes if it wasn't for that panic attack. You know, I think that's the catalyst for a lot of people. You've got to listen, because if you don't, you know, it's interesting how you went for the, you know, after a week of not smoking, you went to have another joint, right? Which is such, again, a common thing that people do. They go to the comfort because they don't want to feel the pain. But the pain that you were in probably during that time was no different to the pain that you were experiencing when you weren't on the dope. Yeah. You know, so it's hard, isn't it?
To allow myself to feel that.
Yeah.
Because there's obviously a lot of stored up emotions and things that were suppressed. And the tendency, again, with back to social media and the way the world works, is to not feel bad, to not feel certain stuck emotions, that we need to always feel good. And then if you're not feeling good, something's wrong.
Yeah, something's wrong. That's the thing. The good feeling now is the only feeling that people are associating with.
Yeah.
I mean, like, yeah, like how, yeah. I mean, like, it's important, I guess, for people to experience the spectrum. I don't really like using those words anymore, good or bad. I just say, you know, I think I've shared this with you before. I like you saying interesting. You know, it's interesting that when I eat properly, I feel better. It's interesting that when I have a block of chocolate, I'm going to feel shit. So you just become aware all the time and you're not punishing yourself, because it's about the punishment that makes you, you know, feel that. I mean, where do you feel, where are the youth of today? Where do you think they're at? You know, where are the young generation at the moment? Are they lost? Are they on track? Are they discovering? What's your opinion on where they are?
I think, you know, they might be a bit confused, and, you know, they might be definitely not unsure about what's happening in the future and their future. But I feel like there's a big calling collectively for them to do more inner work and to not look outside and to whatever's happening in the world, and to just kind of come more within.
Yeah.
And
it's like what you were saying before about it's about really, I mean, like what they're really doing is what we were saying before about them thinking about the future, but the future isn't here yet.
Yeah, it's not.
You know, it's not here. It's, you know, I can tell you the same thing when I was your age. I was worried about stuff when I was I think everyone has that thing about what's going to happen. You know, if you would have told me when I was in the 80s that I was going to be on a computer that's got a camera and I'm talking to you on the computer, I would have said, what are you talking about? You're from another country. You know, like it is this, now we have the technology to do that. So I know that when I get old, you're going to be saying to me, oh, I just, you know, went to see my friend in my jet car. And I'd say, what? You know, so I think that being afraid of the future is really irrelevant. I think that you don't get anything out of that.
Very irrelevant. And I think fear in general is quite irrelevant and silly, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think there's an importance in danger, you know, if there's actual danger, but a lot of the time there isn't.
Yeah.
And fear is just some type of illusion that, you know, just really holds us back from experiencing the present moment.
Yes. And that's the key, is what you just said there. Is it holds us back. All it does is it stops us from growing, and we've been brainwashed to think that it's relevant. That's why.
Yeah.
Excuse me. That's why I can't. You know, I do not watch the news.
Yeah.
Because it's driven towards that. So, Jacob, what makes you weird? I want to know your weird thing. What's weird about you? You know, everyone's got this thing that they do that's weird. What's Jacob's weird behavior or little thing?
I'm not sure. That's an interesting question.
God, I mean, like, well, think about things. I mean, think about what you think you do that not many people else do, that you can sort of see from a distance that, okay, that makes me different. The word weird that I use isn't meant to be a bad thing. It's just your little quirk.
Yeah. No, like I know I do a lot of people would say weird things, you know, in my daily practices, like chanting. And, you know, I might go out into nature and get sun on.
But but you know that's not weird. I want you to think of something that you do and you know is different, and you yourself say it's weird. Like, I'll give you an example of what I do, right? So I love mixing sweet and savory. So I will sometimes have ice cream with pickles or ice cream with olives. I've never said that before in public. So I know it's weird, and I know that when I sometimes get in public and I don't realize that I'm being watched, I will be doing that, and people will look at me and go, why did you put that olive in your ice cream? So that's weird, but it's my little thing, and I don't really care about what people think. It just I love the taste of it, like, you know, so it's not really something you go into a supermarket and say, hey, can I have an ice cream with olives? So, you know, do you have anything like that you know is your little thing that you do?
Apart from me maybe talking to trees and
you're the tree whisperer,
you know, and definitely going out and you know, going out into nature, I might call upon certain ascended masters and things like that.
Are you getting replies?
Yeah. I feel the replies.
You feel the replies, so they're actually listening.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is that something that you feel you're really comfortable with now?
Yeah, I'm quite comfortable with it. I am quite comfortable with it, and but at the same time, like, you know, I am definitely very, very into, intergalactical type of things and ascension on the planet and a lot of these out there type of talking.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, and also that's the only way we're going to know about that stuff. If I think that, people saying that for the first time and then someone he's hearing that for the first time, it can be a bit of a shock. Like, I mean, I remember when I spoke to you and we talked about ascending masters and all that. And like, I even felt uncomfortable talking to you about it because you were that tough gang guy. Right. And then, I'm thinking, how's he going to cope with my crystal ball? Oh my God, do I play it for him? Don't I? And so all of that stuff is just really about being, again, authentic because people learn from that.
Yeah.
Okay, go on.
I think like what's important too is, knowing what to share to the certain person. And is it,
I see, I don't agree. What I've learned is that you have to just be yourself and not worry. Let them deal with that. I used to be like that. I used to worry about what I shared, but then I discovered, because I used to filter, right? I used to not play the bowl that I play. And for those listening, it's a crystal bowl. I used to not play it for men. I only played it for women because I thought men would freak out. But then I thought, what am I doing? And then now I just play for everyone. And everyone always says the same thing. They loved it. So it is funny how your mind can trick you into what you think other people want. When in reality, you just got to be a true teacher, I think, just shows through what they live. And then people can pick up what they want from that. It's either for them or not. Now, the last question is a little bit, I guess you just need to be honest. So, and again, if you don't want to share, we understand. But like, what do you think is one of your lies that you tell people? Are there any, do you have a white lie or do you have a lie that you might share with people? Which I know after you say it out loud will no longer be a lie. But, do you feel that there's something that you sometimes, maybe in the past or maybe, in your, not in this time of your life, but, what was one of the most common lies that you may have told people to get yourself to feel better?
I definitely used to lie to a lot of my friends and a lot of people and say that I had a lot more success that I had with women than I did.
Right. Okay. So you were a bit of a casanova, but you weren't really.
Yeah. Well, I'd say that that I have been with more women than I did because I felt like I needed to fit in and it needed to be.
Is it really that? Is it really that? Do you really feel like that's a need? Is it still a need in this? Like people are still feeling that you need to sort of not brag, but you need to sort of fit in. Do you think that's something that just becomes common with men?
I think it's common with a lot of people. I think there's a group mentality. I think a lot of us do come from our biology is coming from tribes. So
yes,
I think we want to be accepted. We don't want to be different or to be pushed away from the group.
Yeah. And when did you stop telling the lie?
We get.
Yeah. How did you stop? Did you stop?
Like, yes. Yeah.
So did you? When you stopped telling that white lie, did you tell them the truth? Did you turn around to some of your friends and say, "Hey, I've only slept with 1,000 girls, not 2,000"?
Yeah, because I started to be accepting that like I don't need that validation from them. I don't need them to make me feel better. So I would just say, I'll be like, no, I'm not doing at the moment. I haven't been with a lot of women, or no, I didn't sleep with her. We just hanged out. We're just friends, and being okay with that, like that you don't have to sleep with them or get some type of result.
Well, can I flip that, right? Because you were telling the lie for that, did you ever feel like you had to, or are you noticing that people your age are having to do what other people want, and you can sort of, it's not that you're not doing a lie, you're actually living a life for yourself. You're actually doing something that you feel like others are expecting. Did you do that as well? Like, so I know you didn't sleep with as many women as you said, but did you end up doing things that you didn't want to do because you felt peer pressure?
Oh, yes. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I definitely would even force myself to get with certain women.
And I guess even because you're in gangs, so I'm guessing there would have been also behavioural things that you were doing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. There was I felt like I needed to be tough, so I put on this fake front as well.
Yeah.
Of being this tough guy. And that I'm, but really deep down, I was quite sensitive and soft, gentle soul. I don't want to hurt anyone.
Yes.
And, but my mind and my ego wanted to be that certain character so that I could fit in, so I could be safe.
Yeah. And was that the same thing? Like, how did you audit that so you didn't have to do that anymore? Did you just say, like you did with the first question, you just said, I'm not doing this anymore? Or how did you stop being that tough guy and remove the mask?
Yeah, over time, it was just a removal of layers. And obviously, as I started to practice meditation and do work with yourself and, a lot of stuff like that, I started to realize that, no, I don't actually want that. I don't need to be that, I'm safe to be myself, because a lot of it was like coming down to safety.
Yeah.
That if I wasn't this certain way, that I could get hurt. I'm vulnerable.
Yeah.
And I need to put on this front so that I can actually be safe.
Yeah. I mean, I feel that, in my years of living, that is probably the biggest thing where people have to be the bravest. It's you were saying before about how you felt a bit alone when you had to say goodbye to certain parts of your life. And I think that's the hardest thing is that, we get, sometimes we're born into our life, so we sometimes can't choose. Well, all the times we can't choose the environment and all that. But when we decide we want more or we want to heal, it is so hard to break away. And because as you and I know, and I guess a lot of listeners know, to do that sometimes there is a transition of loneliness. You're totally alone. And so for a lot of people, it's easier to go back because that loneliness is painful. But I just think that loneliness is the true transition to the other place. It's as if it's like it's like a boarding place, You're waiting, and then all of a sudden the plane comes and takes you. But, and so, but for some people that could be it is. I mean, I remember there were multiple times when I just felt so vulnerable in that time going, what am I doing on this planet? I don't have anyone. I'm here. I'm pathetic, da-da-da. But all that abuse that I gave myself was me breaking myself down. Did you go through a similar thing?
Yeah, 100%. Being alone was, wasn't easy. I wanted to kind of get back into my friendship groups, but over time it just didn't resonate.
Yeah.
And, I'd go there and it's like, what am I doing here? We don't kind of get along anymore. We don't have similar interests. So that alone time was good because I wasn't actually picking up on their energy. I wasn't picking up on their beliefs anymore. So I was more on my own mission.
Yeah.
That allowed me to step out of the familiarity and out of the comfort zone of watching the same shows with my friends, playing the same video games. So I could be like, okay, maybe there's a change in me. Maybe then I started to do research and look and read other books and really started to shift my focus and my attention elsewhere.
Yeah. Would it be fair to say that it's sort of like similar to being bored? You were bored. You were bored with, you were bored with, not that you didn't like your friends, but you were bored with that world that they gave you through that friendship. How many times can you play a video game and talk about the same things? And, so we know now that is really a description of surface living, that surface stuff where don't talk about emotions, don't talk about how you feel, just play, right? It'll be right. And
don't talk about anything that's deep or out of the ordinary or asking bigger questions.
Yeah. Jacob, I could talk to you all day, but we have to go. Thank you so much for being our first guest. It's been an honor and a privilege. And keep doing the great work. And if anyone wants to catch up with you, it's called The Grounded Space. And I'll have all the links below to how you can connect with The Grounded Space, which is located in Sydney and probably is online too. So it's a global connection. So namaste, my friend. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I am very grateful to be on today. And if anyone's interested, then they can obviously check myself out and see what work we do. We do a lot of free events and very transformative. And they've been tools that have helped me in my life and bringing it forward to supporting a lot of others.
So proud of you. You're like a little baby. I'll grab your cheeks. All right. Have a great day. Thank you, everybody, for listening to the EUDAIMONIA Connection podcast. There's 10 episodes in season 2. This was the first one. Please click like and subscribe so you get notified of our up and coming episodes, and also maybe subscribe to the channel that is filled with all juicy, wonderful things mental health. Till next time, have a great week. Namaste. Bye.